eSailGP, 6 nations, 1 winner. Nathan Outridge and Tom Slingsby's rivalry comes down to the wire. Who will bring home national glory? The grand final of the SailGP Championship, Season 1, Marseille, September 20th to 22nd.
Hello and welcome to eSailing TV. My name is Thomas Bjørn Luthi, and today we are going to watch much more about the EF50 boat SailGP introduced last day. We have seen a lot of players online, and just to say, we are amazed on eSailing TV. 5,247 people has been played the first E50 boat the first day of the event. Today it's still a practice event, so with me doing it and having some fun with me today and commentating what we're going to do, please welcome Steve. Steve, welcome in studio.
Hey Thomas, nice to be back. Thanks very much.
Yeah, and Steve, it's a present to see how many people playing this boat. It's amazing.
Well, you just said I didn't know that, the 5,000 plus numbers. I didn't know already. I hadn't looked. That is impressive. It just shows how popular the SailGP is, and the growth of e-sailing, and it's all coming together, as we were talking about yesterday. The convergence of the SailGP and the super fast boats and e-sailing is really interesting and really exciting.
And just to wrap it up a little bit, what's happening in here is you can see there's 2 channels left in the SailGP. There's the training for 48 hours. This is the last chance for you to improve your skills, because when we're going into the Marseille eSailGP virtual competition, we actually fight for a prize. And I'm not allowed to tell the prize yet, but I can say it's something to do with the SailGP event that you can win online, and the winner, of course, takes it all. That's part of the concept from SailGP, so it's going to be exciting. Steve, what's going to happen here?
Well, yeah, that just about gave a big clue there. I've got no idea what the prize either, but I'm almost ready to start guessing. But no, it's fabulous that there's prizes. You know, I mean, everyone loves to race. It's fun to race. We all have such fun racing. It's so good. And if you've got a prize at the end of it, it's the icing on the cake. We all race for no prize. But if someone puts a prize up, well, thank you very much. That's yeah, really something extra to go for.
And this is also why we've chosen to do a minimum 14 races, because you really need to fight for it. We saw at the World Cup Championship playoffs minimum 20 races, so here you actually have a chance to do 100% score. So we're really looking into it. Steve, before we're going in to see the fantastic programming and sail and do tips and tricks with the EF50 in the SailGP training channels, let's see more about the boat.
When we launched the boats back in October in New Zealand, it became very apparent that the hardware and software that was in the boat wasn't going to be good enough. So they took them to the UK, to the Artemis Technologies simulator, and Luke Parkinson and Nick Hutton went up there with Jonathan, who's in charge of the whole control systems group. So they got rid of the joystick. They've put in now this double twist grip device with a bunch of buttons, kind of like a PlayStation or Xbox controller.
This is our new flight controller human interface. Many more functions and a lot more controllability of flying the boat. So these big twisty things you can see here, this is now controlling the dagger board. We can control both dagger boards at the same time when they're both in the water. We can control the roll of the differential of the rudders. And then on top of that, we've got the average rudder lift on 2 buttons. So there's plenty going on right here.
Really, it's the flight controllers have all been working together to find this common solution, and they've absolutely nailed it. Stu's basically flying the boat all the time. So he spins the wheel, like less lift and more lift. So the whole time he's literally there, like flying, looking at the bow, just flying little adjustments, little adjustments.
So the big debate at the moment is, do you fly the boat in a straight line from this position, or does your helmsman still fly the boat? Everyone's trying to get the secrets out of all the teams, see who's doing what.
The Aussies have committed hard to the flight controller, and then the Japanese are also using it a reasonable amount of the time. And I think that the other 3 teams, the Chinese, the French and the Americans, are still using the helm. So it'll be interesting if there's a split as to how the fleet get on here and who's sort of chosen the right direction. It's been very noticeable, the change. Most people are foil jibing every time. Foiling tacks are becoming more and more common now. For me, sailing the boat, it's starting to feel like it's reaching its potential.
And welcome back in studio. Steve, it's amazing to see these fantastic boats, how they're racing, and now we're going to see it live. Can you please guide us through which type of format we're going to race here, and what's new about the boat?
Well, the format, first of all, as you can see from this picture, you've got the start line down the right-hand side, and coming straight across at almost 90 degrees, it's called the reach, and we go to the first marker there. Then there's a turn downwind. At that point, people choose pretty much before you start. Really, you've got an idea about which way you're going to want to go, which buoy you're going to choose once you've taken that first turn. But anyway, you go downwind. You choose one of those two buoys, either the left or the right, depending on the wind direction. You sail back up again with a few tacks. There's boundaries. It's not quite so simple as what that shows because there's boundaries that we have to stay within. And we make our way up the top of the course, and you can see there's two more markers at the very top of the course. Once again, it's very strategic with knowing which buoy to choose depending on the wind direction and the wind strength. You come back down again, tacking the way down the course, keeping within the boundaries. To the bottom marks, choose your left and right again, come back up again to the very top, turn around, come down, and then you take that central mark again, the central buoy, and we've got another reach back to this finish line. So the start and the finish line is the same. And they both have a reach of about 90 degrees. The boats go very, very fast across that part of the course. But really, Thomas, the strategy to it all, I've been playing about 30 games since we spoke last night. I really wanted to get on and have a lot of practice. And at first, I felt, oh, this boat feels it feels so easy to sail, and it just doesn't feel as fast as it should. But I've realized now that this is actually similar to the reality of these boats. You know, we've been used to playing on the other smaller boats, and of course they are very finicky. You know, you get a little bit of wind gust and the boat will have a big adjustment on the boat, and when you turn and everything, the boats are much more tippy turny. But these boats, which are 50 feet long, and they're very, very stable boats. If you watch them sailing, of course every now and things go a little wrong and they have big, a big splashdown, but most of the time these expert sailors are sailing these boats, and the boats literally are very stable. So I realized after sailing that really, Thomas, it's about strategy, and it's about keeping the boat in the strong wind and as much as possible with the right direction, but also not doing too many tacks.
Yeah, also not doing too many tacks. I was just showing the technician here in studio yesterday how the boat works, and we're going in to see some tips and trick with this boat. We're waiting for a new server to begin because these races look like they already started. Let's just jump into this one. And we were speaking about it, how the boat works.
SailGP, Six Nations.
Second position within at the first race, and they were just all amazed about it and say, hey, how can you do that? Yeah, I mean, it's because it's so stable, this boat. It's so easy to steer, but still it's very tactic.
And it's only because of here we go. Well, what have we got? Okay, they're off the line. Now, this is the reach that we're just talking about. So it's pretty much 90 degrees, going straight out to that first mark. Now, the thing is, the boat's on the right of you, put a wind shadow on you. So you don't want to be too close to the boat on the right. But then the boats on the left have got right of way, so if they get close to you, they can also ping a penalty on you. So there's a bit of a balance there. You're trying to stay out of the wind shadow and also trying to keep away from the boat that can give you a penalty. But anyway, These guys, yes?
Yeah, just see, we have Pauletta with us, we have Left Paco, we have Gina with us, 3-4. They're all there with us online, and they're coming towards this mark. And this is where the exciting part is, to see how slow this residual power is going now, and a penalty also.
Well, because the boat behind them, Rafarakol, came in very fast, and the other boat that was so slow, he ran into the back of him. So you have to try and keep out of trouble. Now he's gone over the ley line. Now he was the boat that was very slow. So he's got a Japanese boat here, or Japanese flag on. He may be a Japanese player, but he might be a learner, and that's the thing when you're sailing. If you're an experienced sailor here, you also have to keep out of the way of guys that are learning, because if you run into them and you get a penalty, well, you get a big slowdown. So yeah, we've got Poulet at the front. We've got Ringo Pale coming second. Laf Paco, who's an experienced sailor, as you know, coming in third. Now, looking at the windsocks, you can see up the top left-hand corner, the windsocks are pointing from left to the right. So the boats that get out to the left-hand side of the course, or at the moment, who's up the top there? That's Paulette. He's in a good position because at the moment, he's going to have the favourable wind because the wind is coming from left to right, so he's going to have the best angle possible. So the boats coming down the field at the moment are unlikely to catch him because of where he is. This is the thing. You always want to be sailing with as much angle, the correct angle to the wind. And we'll explain this a little bit later on, Thomas, but let's just follow the race for the moment.
But see here, it's quite amazing to see. Normally I will say if you're 100 meters ahead, then you could take a run. But in this boat type, everything is open until you come towards the middle mark and go for the reach against the finish line, because it's all about how you're coming around the marks. Let's see how they're doing here. Paul, that's a nice turn there. There's no spinnaker, there's no big sails here. It's one sail. You need to capture wind. See here, 38 knots downwind.
Well, and you see that. See the dark up in the top left-hand corner there? You can see on that little circle up the top, which is showing the windsocks. See on the left-hand side it's darker? Now, he's picked this side because there's going to be more wind. And these boats definitely go so much faster when you've got a bit of extra wind. So this is where you have to weigh it up sometimes as to whether you want to go with the best angle or where you want to head for the best wind.
Yeah. Did you see the French skipper here when he came around the mark? He was actually going upwind. Suddenly he came from 28 knots to 10 knots within seconds, and he had a really slow turn. The reason why Left Paco is in front is because the Japanese boat couldn't control his turn, so he made such a big turn that Left Paco came on the inside. So let's see how it goes for them when they're coming down here.
Well, that's the experience of Left Paco. He's a previous finalist from about 2016 with the virtual regatta racing. So he's a very experienced and a very good sailor. So these guys are adapting very quickly, right, to the F50.
And see again the Japanese boat losing momentum in the turning. We have the French boat coming in and taking third now, because the French boat again really bad turning coming around here.
Look at that wind on the left-hand side, Thomas. See the dark patch? There's so much more wind out there. Can we look at how? Oh, it doesn't tell us the wind. What's the speed of that blue boat? Yeah, how fast does he go? 27 knots. And what about, say,
24,
the white
25. Boat? Then the white boat from Japan, he's only 15 knots. He's not flying yet.
No, that's the difference. See, he's just got the. First of all, he's going into the wind. You can see the direction of the box. He's actually more going into them. It's like going against the grain, you could say, if you were trying to think about which way I should be going. Just imagine like felt, if you got felt, when you rub your hand with the grain, it's very smooth. If you go against the grain, it's very rough. So if you're a beginner and you're trying to think, well, which way should I be going? Just imagine that those windsocks are like the grain, and you always want to be going with the grain. So, this is... Now, so these guys, probably, Ringa Pai, he's doing well. I think he could be a bit of a beginner because of the way he was sailing at the beginning there. But the people who are learning this game, as we were talking about before, these boats actually aren't too hard to sail. They're not too... some of the other smaller boats are much harder to sail. So as a starting point, these are great boats for people to get into this game and learn.
And we see here, it's still Pauletta in front. It's Left Paco in second. He's going to fight with it against the French skipper. Let's see them come around. See, Left Paco losing speed. There's 10 knots in difference because he did a wrong turn. But he's just turning around the mark where the French skipper has to take a bigger bow around it. So let's see what happens. This is a fight. This is one of the few fights we actually see. And this is when we're going towards the reach. Who will take the lead here? Who will take the second?
Very interesting. Look at that wind shadow, that he's trying, Arnold's trying to put on top of Left Paco. And here we can turn. So he had the right, he had the rights on being on the inside, so Left Paco with his experience could see it through. But as you pointed out, at that top mark, Left Paco, what had happened was he'd come into that mark and he was over the ley line. The ley line's that white line, the white dotted line showing us the ideal line in. Now, if you get outside that ley line and you have to turn away from the wind a little bit, you don't have the pressure on your sails that you would want, and your boat loses so much speed, especially on these boats. And that was so apparent. That was a good shot you had there, Thomas, because that showed one boat coming in with the right angle to the wind, and Left Paco, who was having to turn a little bit outside, and so he didn't have the ideal, what they call, VMG, and it just slowed the boat right down. He almost lost it.
Yeah, and here the rest of the fleet coming in. It's the Japanese boat. It's where he's from. He's from. Oh, we can't see. He's secret sailor. He was from Spain. Then we have a German boat and a disconnection from Great Britain. But Steve, what a start in this race.
Yeah, well, there's some proper racing, as you said. We saw with Poulet from Switzerland and Paco from France. They had no, sorry, it was Paco and Arnaud, both two French guys.
Yeah.
It was like having a real close battle. And these races, as with the SailGP, if you watch it, you can see sometimes if people get a right wind with the right direction and get away from the crowd, you can win by 500 meters because these boats are so fast.
Yeah. And it's amazing to see, but here we're saying it's an easy boat to sail for an eSailer. We're getting ready for the next race.
SailGP, Six Nations.
Isn't that easy to sail this boat? Because you need to do the turnings right. You need to do the tax right. You need to do the strategy correct, or else you will lose. You see, Paco, he was actually in 4th position after the start, but ending up 2nd.
I think we could say it's easy to sail them, but it's not easy to win.
No.
So if you want to be a good player and winning lots of games, it's not so easy because there's a lot of things that can go wrong. But to learn, here we go, 3 seconds. So listen, now see this blue boat in the middle. There's no point doing that, guys, right? He's got no momentum.
No.
So you have to come into the line with as much speed as possible. If you get the helps in the game, you can have something that shows you your distance to the line, and you actually get a nice little line that's either red when you're going too close to the line, or it'll go to orange. So you should use that, and it'll give you a distance. Now, here's what's happened here.
He didn't catch the wind, so he was losing everything. See how they're slowing up because they're not capturing the wind. They're having the wind straight at them from behind instead of into the angle, into the sail. See, now he's capturing it much better. So this is good news for the Dane in front.
Thomas, to be honest, I think now he's pulled himself out.
Yeah.
I think honestly, he was a dodgem driver. He was more interested in actually running into boats and seeing who he could give a penalty to. And hey, some people, that's part of the game. You have to watch out for those guys. Some people do like to practice putting penalties. I mean, you and I can talk. One night you sent me out there showing people how to do penalties, and I probably got a really bad name that night trying to show people how to get penalties. And maybe he's a learner and he was learning, but. Yeah, now it's a little annoying if you're really serious about your racing and trying to have a good series, and somebody does just put penalties on people for the heck of it, and then drop out of the race. Anyway, that's racing. Here we go.
Yeah, we have 4 skippers left. The rest of them, they're disconnected because they're getting mad at this person doing a lot of penalties. It is practice. Maybe he didn't do it on purpose. In my opinion, it looks like he was actually losing the momentum because he tried to get the wind straight from behind, and you cannot do that with these type of boats. This is
Let's
the
give him the
EF50.
benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Now, Clack's a great racer. Clack 123, very experienced player, and so it's not surprising to see him out the front. And so we got Cled's pitch pole,
and it warms my heart. I know he is from Denmark, so I'm cheering at him. But he doesn't get a flag on his boat yet because he's just choosing a neutral team.
Okay, yes, he isn't. All right. Now, okay, so looking at these, here we go. He'll be making a choice when you're coming down here. You're looking at the windstocks. Probably the left hand or the right hand side looking up the course, which he's taken because he's probably seen there's a bit more wind out that side. But this is the strategy as you're coming up to these markers. You have to choose which side am I going to take, and because these boats, if you've got more wind or a better wind direction, it can change. If you're 200 meters in front, suddenly you can be behind. Just because of a decision like that. And so, as you said before, these boats maybe are easy but not easy to sail. That's the difference. They're easy to get in and ride around in, and especially if you use the helps, because you've got your best VMG, which means the computer will put you on the best angle. You don't have to worry too much about steering with the wind the right way. But when it comes to making the decisions as to which marker I should pick, which side of the course shall I go down, what's the fastest way to get from A to B, that's where someone like Clack 123, who's been racing, doing e-sailing for quite some time, he's got the experience. And really, it doesn't matter what type of boat you're racing. Sailing is in this essence, there's a commonality there. There's always the best way to go with the wind and with the wind strength.
now I've been practicing this boat so much that I really know it quite well. And one thing I experience when you're racing downwind, actually I can catch wind much better if I'm not using best wind speed. Try to put it next time on your best wind speed, and then turn it a degree or two to one of the sides. Then you're actually capturing one knot, 2 knots better, but it's not the best angle always.
Exactly, and that's the key, Thomas. Is these boats, if you take it, if you turn away from your best VMG, which is best velocity made good, which is the computer works out the distance, the angle to the mark, and the speed you're going to give you the best, the most efficient way there. If you turn off that a little bit, definitely the boat picks up very fast. But now you're moving away from the target, so you've got further to go. You're going faster, but you've got further to get there. If you go more directly to the target, you've got less distance, but you're going slower. So best VMG finds tries to find the perfect balance between speed towards the target and direction towards the target. Because you imagine if you're going, like 100 knots, but you're going so far away from the target, it's going to take you 3 times as long to get there. Well, somebody going 50 knots is going to get there sooner.
Let's see here. We can see Clark. He is in full control in this practice race here. He is in front. He has 30 knots in speed. We can see Pitchpool capturing the speed much better. He's 33, 32. So it's now about the turning. And actually, we see often also in the NACRA and in the F18 in this type of format, then when they're turning around this mark, they can still lose, because if you're not capturing the wind right, see Clark did it, 45 knots, amazing speed. Pitchpool also doing it here. Then you're actually slowing down and being overtaken by the other boats from behind.
Yeah, well, this doesn't happen in these boats. Once again, back to this idea of why these boats are a little easy. Great boat, a really great boat for people to learn on, because the other boats, such as the F18 and the NACRA, they both have a genoa or genica, which is a big sail that's put up. And the big sail works when the wind is a little bit behind you. But if the wind is sort of side on or coming towards you a little bit, then it actually slows you down. And so suddenly boats can come around that corner. They think they've got it the right angle. It turns out that the angle of the wind is more into them than with them. They suddenly slow down, they go off the foils, and a boat that's taken the genoa down quickly suddenly goes past them. Well, with these boats, they don't have that genoa because they've got this huge wing sail. It's not, it's a fixed wing, like an aircraft wing, and it's so big and so efficient that if they put one of those other big sails up, the boat slows down. That's how fast these wings are. So they don't have the big genica to go up there. So as you take that corner at the bottom, you don't have to worry about whether to have that big sail up or not. And that's why, once again, this is a little bit easier. A fantastic opportunity for people to learn the sailing of eSailing. That's how it works.
And Steve, when we're speaking about learning, let's learn more about the F50, how it works in real life, and if you're really into it, I just have to say, come to Marseille this weekend and see the fantastic boat. Please enjoy this video about how they construct it. And Steve, what a boat. How they're fighting here. Can you please explain more about what we just saw here? What is it about this thing? Because we're also using it in the game when we're actually racing.
Well, the key to these boats is the foiling. And if you've got the nice amount of wind and you've got the right angle, the boat lifts up on the foils. And so instead of the boat just going along the hull, now you imagine if you've got that whole long hull running along, it's a huge amount of drag. And the key, here we go. What have we got? 1 second. Let's just look at this race. Look at the start here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, a false start.
So a false start for these guys. But can we face on? Where's the direction? There is. Okay. Yes. So you can see the boat the on the right and the boat on the left. The guy on the left's got a little bit of advantage here because he had the inside line. Now, once you get ahead, if you play your cards right, you know, you can try to protect yourself a little bit so nobody can get past. But if once you get up to the top here, if one boat goes left and one boat goes right, there's the chance that there's a bit of a wind shift. But, you know, coming up here, if I was looking at these marks, right, looking at these marks, see how they're pointing to the left? I'd take that left-hand side if I was him, but he's taken the right. I would suggest if somebody takes left, look at the difference. Now, this guy actually a non-sailor. He's taken left, and the other boat took the right. Let's watch what happens here. In my theory, the guy that's in the red boat, actually a non-sailor, should end up ahead because by taking that left-hand side, he's got more time to be sitting on top of, there he goes, he's just passed him right now, you see, because he had more time sitting in a favourable wind rather than having to turn back the other way and now with the wind against him. Can we go into 2D mode, Thomas, and we'll show that a little bit more with the, so you see that windsock? Now that windsock, you can see at the moment, it's like he's going into the grain. Okay, now this guy's going with the grain because you see the windsock's pointing a little bit to the left. He's got a better angle to the boat. The boat that's on his left-hand side, if we click on one, like, yeah, go on the other boat that he's just going behind him now, the other one just below, that one, yeah, actually. So look at the windsock on his boat. Now you see how that windsock's pointing to the left? So you imagine you'd be pushing into that, into the grain, you know, so you want that windsock like that. That's a better direction. The way he's going now, of course, sometimes you have to go with and sometimes you can't always be sailing with the wind, but ideally what you're trying to do, you're trying to pick it so that you're going with the wind as much as possible.
Yeah. Did you see what happens to actually a non-sailor? He was in second position, actually in the lead. Now he's in fourth. Yes. He's fighting for his position. This is all about tactic and strategy to capture the wind and also to read the path of the track and especially the wind. Oh, a turn here. See there. a penalty and everything goes wrong for the leading boat. It's boat 24012 and now the other boats are coming. Actually a non-sailor getting back in second now, closely followed by Moonchang and another boat, and this is the beautiful of this game, and special this EF50. There's no chance that you have won the race before you're getting over the finish line, because a lot of things can happen here.
I found these boundaries are very interesting too. They definitely put a whole new element in the game, because a whole new dimension in the game. Because I'm used to racing the other e-sailing boats without the boundaries, and you know you could go if you were on an angle and the wind was going to change, you could go way out, wait for the change, and then come back the other way. But these ones, sometimes, even if the wind's in your favour, you hit that boundary and you suddenly have to turn where the wind's not in your favour. Anyway, let's watch his speed here. 35 knots. Okay, he's come around, and this guy's 37 knots. What does it drop down to?
37 knots, yeah. Then they chop down to 24. A penalty given out there. Nice job, John. Job done by actually a non-sailor. Now he's in the lead, giving the leading boat a penalty because he chose to go to the left-hand side and then tack to the right side straight away, and then actually be able to have the priority. So see here how much it's slowing down. First a slow down penalty, going upwind, losing 3 positions. Wow.
So you can see that marker, this one, the boat that you're just looking at a second ago. This one more, yes. See it's on the right hand side of him. The wind marker. What do I call it? What do you call it, Thomas? You know, down the windsock. Thank you very much. That windsock's on the right side, so we can tell that the wind's on the right hand side of the sail. He has priority now, so it'll be interesting to see, because the other boat was able, actually, a non-sailor was able to put a penalty on him in the same position, so he might get one back here. It'll be interesting to see.
Oh,
now, as they come together, let's see what happens with actually.
Did you see here? We just had a fight. Yeah, he's tacking away. He didn't attack actually, but did you see that fight with the 2 other boats? This is Moon Changlong. He took a chance trying to go on the inside of actually a non-sailor. Then he came too far out of the boundary and got a penalty. So, that's the new dimension here. You can actually push each other to the boundary and then actually make the other get a penalty, because actually a non-sailor had the priority. So if he tacked up to him, he will lose everything. Oh, what's happening to actually a non-sailor? He's going upwind. See, this is like real life. Real SailGP F50. He lose all momentum. Suddenly he's in second. He's almost in third. So the boat in front are into lead now.
Just like that. Yeah, they switched around a fair bit. What's he doing? Is he going around?
He didn't get
no,
around the
good.
mark either, so now he's in third.
Yeah. So there's something strange going on here. So boat 24012 is going to be feeling pretty happy. He was one moment he was second or third. Now he's taken the lead by quite a lot. It might also be that actually a non-sailor is chasing after Muchalong for some reason. Sometimes things can happen in this race, and you find yourself wanting to race one particular person quite heavily. But this is the final turn here onto the reach back home, and it looks like boat 24012 is going to win this one pretty easily. Nobody hit the mark.
But
see
they're fighting
swerving.
each other here.
Yeah, he's swerving around. There's definitely a bit of a battle going on between these two. We didn't see everything that happened in the match between them. Sometimes if somebody gives you a penalty or does something that you feel is a bit unjustified, you can the race turns more into you and them than everybody else. But so that was a good one to watch. We saw a lot of different things there, and watching the guys with the boundaries, you can see there the importance of staying in, because you only have to. And I wondered, Thomas, we were looking at last night, like a few boats touched the boundary and they didn't get penalties. So today when I was playing, I tried to find out just how far, and it looks like if you go a little bit over, it's okay. But if you get more than halfway over, I think you're gone.
Yeah, it's actually in the middle of the boat. So if you're getting the whole boat or more than 50% of the boat, and I also tested it, then you will get the penalty. So you can actually just slide into the boundary and then go around.
Right. Right.
So, but see, did you see actually a non-sailor? He's not for fun. We watched him at the World Cup Championship playoffs, and he actually did a really fine job there. He's one of the top sailors. And he lost momentum, because normally he can take the 49 or the Nacra, just go upwind and then turn. But this EF50, it goes for 30 knots to 5 knots within 2 seconds.
Yeah. If you turn your boat away from a favourable direction, when it slows down very quickly, and it's hard to get that speed back up. So, but when we watch the guys in real life with these boats, the same things happen. They can be going so fast, and then when the wind drops or they get when they're going to try to do their turns, it can slow down fast. So this is really mimicking the conditions that the real boats are experiencing.
Steve, let's talk a little bit about the start here.
Okay, let's look at the start right now. The trick here really is to become onto that start line full speed, and hopefully away from another boat's shadow. So the boat in the middle that you're looking at the moment, see, he's moving into the wind shadow of the boat next to him. That's going to be a little bit difficult. But he needs to get a little bit ahead. The boat on the left, you have to watch out for him, because he's going to try and put penalties on these guys. You have to watch. He's a bit of a spoiler. So he's just penalised him, and so it's a little bit disappointing. But sometimes when someone's learning, they do that, because you see he's way back behind everyone now. It hasn't done him any good, but all he's done is taken out the other boat by giving him a penalty when he was trying to get a good start. So I think, guys, it's good to avoid that sort of play. You really don't do yourself any favors. You put yourself in a bad position. All you do is spoil someone else's race. So oh, yes. Well, if you just go in and get a boat and you don't add the name, you can put your own name if you want, but some people just choose an account and leave the name, and the machine automatically allocates a name. So once you get in, you'll get your boat. You can either leave it as boat, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or you can give it a name. And if you give it a name, Thomas, please make it one that Thomas and I can pronounce.
Special name I can pronounce. That's very important. But see here what's happening here. a lot of skippers coming in. This is a close fight. They're really attacking. Oh, he's disconnecting. They're attacking each other. They're trying to do a lot of things here. So nice run by them.
So this boat here, it'll be interesting to see. Yeah, this guy you've got now, what's his name? Sweden 551. Where's he coming at the moment? Oh, there he is. He's second place.
Yeah.
So if we look on, it's hard to tell always exactly how their wind is going. He's behind Fijao at the moment. But once they get a little bit of a battle up here, can you just go to 2D mode for a second and have a look at, let's see his windsock. So his windsock, you can see, okay, the wind's a little bit coming from right to the left. So he's sort of going against the ideal wind at the moment. But then so is Fijao. So they're both sort of in the same situation here. Okay, we can go back to 3D and maybe have a look at... So he's got, with this boat next to him, he has to be careful because if you tack too soon, even though if he tacks now, he's on starboard and the other boat's on port, which would give him right away. But if you don't give the other chance, here we go, he may get around or he may get a penalty. Yeah, if you don't give the other boat enough opportunity to get out of the way, you can get the penalty. And something, Thomas, really interesting about these boundaries, for people who watch the F80s racing with the boundaries, they will have noticed that there's a rule within the game, well, not within the game, within the real sport, the real sailing, that they have to give them room on the boundary. So as you approach the boundary, you're not allowed to push another boat over the boundary. But at the moment in the e-sailing, they haven't got that rule sort of built into the game yet. So I'm sure this is all brand new. I mean, only yesterday was the launch. It's amazing how well they've done such a great job so quickly. And I know there's a little bit of fine tuning, maybe with the 2D view and a few things, but and maybe that'll be something too, that you can't push somebody over the boundary line.
But but I think it's the beauty about this racetrack here, because if we see this fight, actually the Swedish boat could push him over the boundary, or race to him and give him a penalty.
Well, he was kind enough to turn away, but he could have kept going and pushed the guy and pushed them over the boundary. But he's a gentleman sailor, and so this is where this green boat that he will be doing what you said. He won't be using his best VMG. He's probably now look, see he's turned and he's got the bad wind angle, Thomas. That's a perfect example of somebody who he's thinking, I want to go around that marker.
And see the leading boat. See what happens. He's going upwind, losing everything. Suddenly he's in third.
He's lost his momentum because he also didn't do a very good tack, and he's probably taken his boat away from an ideal angle to the wind. If you turn too much into the wind, the boats really lose speed quickly, and then once they lose speed, it's hard to get it back.
It was like seeing SailGP on the Hudson River. Wow, what a show. Yes. We saw the Chinese boat suddenly was in front and caught really bad wind, and the Australians came from behind full speed ahead, going in and taking over the position because the Chinese boat lost all wind.
You know, there's two things that can cause that. One is wind speed and two is wind direction. Now, looking at the WE5 left-hand corner, he's heading, if you look up in the top left circle, you can see that dark area and also the windsock pointing from left to right. He's heading in the ideal place. Okay, he should make a fair bit of ground up here, this Swede SWE551, because he's got both the nice wind direction and the nice wind speed. So I'd say this is a really nice place to be, and no one's going to be able to catch him at this stage, I don't think.
Another penalty to the leading boat the most of the race. He was sailing into Brick King. Brick King used the right away rule here, so this is also part of the game. You have speed, you have turnings, you have the markings, you have to capture the win. We have been seeing 4 different boats in the leading position, so will we see a new leader, or will the Swede keep the position? See the Swede also losing momentum here.
Once again, he came in there, he didn't go far enough up to cover himself for the ley line. There might have been a shift in the wind, and he didn't have the angle, so he had to turn in, so he didn't have the right angle on the sail for the wind. But now he's away, because see that dark area? He's got a nice dark area, he's got a nice wind direction, and this is this is the last run down to the final turn towards home. So, but yes, what's the name's caught up here? Brickling has certainly done a big catch up, 71 meters, but he won't be catching him. If you can be in front at this point, it's very hard to pass.
But let's see here behind. We have a small fight. It's a win for the Swedish boat, 5-5-1. It's second for Brick King. But everything is open here between Renarcido and K16. But see when they're coming around. Oh, Renarcido losing everything actually, because he went with the bad wind, tried to get the wind from behind. So suddenly the former leading boat has a chance to get in, and see, he has to fight for his position here. And K16 coming in third.
I really suggest to the guys who are learning this game to use the helps, because it really makes the game so much easier to learn. Some of the experienced guys sometimes play with not so many helps, but if you can get all the different helps, and it gives you things like wind intelligence, which shows you what the wind's doing up the course. It gives you things like best VMG, so you just have to hit B on the computer, and the computer will automatically give you the best angle, and depending on the wind speed. And it also gives you the time and distance to the start line, so it gives you a countdown, so you can see exactly how many seconds you've got, and a red line or a yellow line telling you whether you need to be, you're going too fast and you're going to go over the line, or if it's yellow, you're just on time. And so it gives you all these, and it also gives you the wind shadow to tell you if the boat behind you is giving you some sort of wind shadow to slow you down. By having these helps, it'll really make your game so much more fun to play. Once you get a bit better, you can play with less helps. But definitely for the guys starting off, I really suggest use those helps, and it'll make the game so much more enjoyable.
And Steve, while we're waiting for the new server to start here, did you see how many servers there are online? Wow, SailGP and the EF50 really attracts eSailer from around the world to join in. And right now it's midday Europe, so it's all the rest of the world playing at the moment.
Oh, it's incredible.
SailGP, Six Nations.
In the players playing this game since the F50 came along has just been fabulous. It's really a winner. I think that a lot of people are discovering about e-sailing, and as we were saying before, e-sailing and the F50 have got a lot of similarities, because the way you sail these F50s, the actual real sailors, they're using joysticks, right? You're putting out, and in your documentary or the display that shows the boats, you see these guys talking about it. There's not much difference from playing a computer game to the guys that are really sailing these boats, other than, as I saw somebody put today, they get their wife to throw water in their face to make it more real.
Here's the start, 5 seconds, Steve. See, they come with speed from behind. Do we have a false start? No, nobody's doing a false start. They're actually timing it quite well, but 30 knots, 31 knots, 31.8, 32 knots. This Sergeant's from, I can't see where he's from, but he's a ninja. Oh, and the ninja attacked Carton straight away, giving him a penalty. See what happens there. He lost everything at the moment. So in the top we have HT Baker, we have Sergeants, and then we have the Portuguese boat. Bacon XU and K16 is with us again. See how close it is, Steve.
Yeah, and they're now looking at, they're choosing which mark, left or right, left or right. We're looking at those windsocks, because the windsocks are pointing towards the right. I'll be taking, probably the right-hand side is a little bit favoured, but let's just see what happens. We've got a bit of a split here. We've got Sages. Oh no, he's had a bad turn. The other boat there hit the marker.
A lot of penalties given here.
Yeah, so I think definitely Sages is going to have the best angle down through here, but this is something I was saying before. Actually, Thomas, I saw one of the guys we were talking realistic this is when you're using the controls to steer these boats. I saw something really funny earlier on in the VR Sailing Club. One of the guys said that when he's playing these F50s, to make it a little bit more real, he gets his wife to throw water in his face. Yeah, so I thought that's a great one. Yeah, just get your partner to start throwing a bit of water in your face, and it'll become a little bit more real.
Yeah. But see here, right now we're actually seeing players getting better and better to steer the EF50, because what a fight we have here. We have skippers, e-sailors pushing each other outside of the ley line or making them give a penalty, and here we'll have an interesting battle. HT Baker, he needs to tack up here, but the boats in front of him, they will get penalties. See, the Portuguese, he was captured there. He didn't have a chance to avoid that penalty, and that's a whole new dimension because we have the boundaries with us.
That's right. He had to turn. The boundary was there. If it wasn't for the boundary, race without boundaries, he'd just keep going for the other turn. So I think that having the boundaries, I think for people who aren't used to the boundaries, it may feel a little bit constraining, but I think that it'll be a nice dimension once people get used to the boundaries and learn how to use those boundaries to their advantage. So
But
like you said, it's a whole new dimension.
yeah, and these players, we can see they've been playing a lot. See how good an angle they're getting around it. Except those two here, it's a Cyclone and it's a KCE and Pango losing everything. See how he tried to steer it up, but hitting the mark. But in front at the moment, it's Bacon XU and Sarges. K16 and Haiti Baker from New Zealand. They all have a chance to take the win. We have been seeing when they're coming to these button marks, to the gate marks, it's all about how they're doing the turnings and the angles in to make sure could come around. They can lose everything.
He has right away here, the orange boat, but no, Sages is far enough in front and he turned to cover himself. And now the choice, which way, left or right? Which marker do I take? And
you have to decide.
And you've got to get the good. You have to decide. He's done a nice turn. Both of them have gone back up here with speed. But now you see Bacon over the right-hand side. He has right of way now once they tack. They're both on port tack now. But once he turns back, once Bacon tacks back, let's see what happens. Can we zoom up and Bacon a little bit?
Yeah, let's go.
I want to see if he makes the cross. Is he going to make the cross? Yes, he made the cross. So he chose the best. He chose the best marker because he was behind, and Sages chose the left-hand mark, Bacon chose the right-hand mark, and that's the difference. That's where Thomas, this game really can be won and lost, choosing the right mark. And it comes with a bit of feel, comes with a bit of experience, and it comes with a bit of luck.
And see now, Sages, he's actually in third. We cannot always trust the scoring board in the left side because we have been so much doing e-sailing here that we can see how the distance is just with our bare eyes. So Sages is in third, and actually I think he will go to fourth now because he's choosing to go to this right side and will
tack on the wrong side.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, if you look at the windsock up in the top left-hand corner in the circle, you see that left-hand side. Look how much pointing left to right. And Bacon Zoo's gone up that way. And, actually someone else has even gone further up there, this other boat. And this is where the wind angle is so much better for him. So he's made up a lot of space by going up a little bit higher. And Bacon Zoo is... Which one's Bacon Zoo at the moment?
They're in the middle. There,
in the middle, right? So this other boat's caught up a lot because he carried on up to the left-hand side, and then he was able to use that better wind angle to come in. He hasn't been able to catch up enough, but he's that's the New Zealand boat. Yeah, he's certainly caught up a lot.
I think we will see a fight. Three skippers that actually can throw dirty air on each other and go in and penalize each other. So who will take a chance? Who will change the angle of their boats? We can see Bacon, he's coming in there. He's going straight on the ley line. Oh, he's on the opposite side. That can't be costly. See, he has to tack again, and every tack he loses 2 knots. So what will happen here?
He managed to get through. But that's, once again, we're back to that boundary. Sometimes you're coming down there and you go a bit further to get to your ley line, right? There's no point turning before the ley line, because if you turn before the ley line, you're going to have to do another tack. Because if you try to turn, your boat at an angle, so without following that best VMG, then you slow down, as we've seen, right? You end up going towards the target, but you go so slow that you lose out. So there are times when the boundary cuts across the point where you want to sail, even though you can see the ley line is just over there, and you have to tack and then do a second tack. And as you were talking about before, Thomas, these boats, they lose a lot of speed when you tack. So the management of the course.
That's a good example. They're straight up to the wind, and Pango trying to get back here. I think KCD is disconnected. So everything happens here. So
that's right. These are the really important things. Keep the right angle to the wind, and especially at the rounding of the marks.
Yeah, and here we see the result. Bacon Su from China in a win. We have from New Zealand HT Baker. Then we have the Portuguese boat in third. The German Kate 16 coming in fourth. Steve,
Thomas, I have to congratulate SailGP and Virtual Regatta Sailing for having this idea of coming, because I've never seen so many boats well, very few times. There's been a few occasions, but it consistently over the last since this was launched, I've never seen so many sailors. I mean, when I go to play a game, it's bang, you get in and boom, you're playing. You know, there's so many people lining up to play. So these guys, thank you very much to SailGP and Virtual Regatta for really coming together.
Yeah.
Really great.
Yeah. And Steve, this is the second last race of tonight. We're going to commentate it like a real race, but we can also do that here. The Queen of May being second, HT Becker is with us. We also have Sarges and actually a non-sailor. These are actually good skippers coming in. So who will do the best job? 5 seconds to the start. We can see in front we have a slow start. It's Cyclone. See how slow he is. The others coming with much more speed, 25 knots. So it's all about timing your speed from behind. The leading boat is Juvial. And then we have Sarges, Cyclone and HT Becker, actually a non-sailor on the inside. And the first penalty given out there.
You know, if you are an experienced sailor hitting that lead at this point, going around that first mark first, as with real sailing, it makes a big difference because the course is tighter because of the boundaries, and you do get a chance to control the race. And if you make the right decisions just by looking at the wind direction and the wind strength, you can pretty much stay in front if you're a good sailor. So yeah, good starts are imperative.
And see also here, these sailors actually know what they do. They've been practicing a lot. None of them are slowing down in the first turn around the gate mark. They're coming in with speed 30 knots coming in and only going down to 22 knots. It's amazing to see. What a race. And Juvial, he's trying to go to the right side. See, he tacked in, and every time he tacks, he's losing 2 to 3 knots. There we go.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got to keep the tax down. I did have a game earlier on where I thought I was going to tax and try and follow the wind, but I just found myself going back in the pack. So, yeah, as you said, it's very important to make a plan. Of course, if you're sailing and suddenly there's a huge wind shift, there's no point just sticking with the plan if the plan is no good. Sometimes you do have to make adjustments,
but see that decision going out to this side. Actually, he lost 2 positions, the leading boat, Juvial, and Sarge's coming in, and actually Cyclone is in front now. So
he's lost 1 position through that. That was it's like playing chess. Actually, is he third now?
Yeah, he's third.
So third. Yeah. Yeah, the strategies, and I think that's what makes this game so much fun. As we've spoken about before, Thomas, I said, for me, sailing, the real thing, the amazing thing about sailing, because the wind's unpredictable.
Oh, this is going to be exciting. See, why did he tack away? He had to ride away.
I don't know, that's a slow
I had attacked. This is e-sport. Attack. And there we see another penalty given to actually a non-sailor for sailing into a Juvial. Sarges, next time, attack.
I think he may have wanted to. He didn't want to be sitting behind that boat, so he decided, that if I'm going to be behind, I might as well take the other marker, and he's come out ahead. See, Sarges, I think he was behind Cyclone, wasn't he?
He was, but he had the possibility to penalize him, so he actually could slow him down, and then he could be more in lead. Instead of us, he has to fight. And see straight away from 0 to 50 meters in difference. That was in 3 seconds.
Sometimes those penalties, Thomas, can be a little at 50-50 though. So sometimes I might be able to, but I might also be given one for running into the back of him. So I think he wanted to play it safe, but he made a good decision. They're going to have a real battle, these two, only 14, 13 meters, 10 meters, 9 meters. So. Yeah, and he's going to have to turn because Psycho's going to probably come to the... See, this is one of those situations. He would have liked to keep going, but he couldn't because of the boundary. He's done an extra tack, slowed him down, put him behind Sages. Now, Sages has done a nice move. He's been able to stay just within the boundary. I tried to cut that earlier on, and it doesn't work. Watch out for those corners. They can catch you out.
And then normally in the other boats, we see when you're attacking, you're not losing momentum. But actually, Cyclone, he could, if it's been another boat than the EF50, he could tack and actually penalize Sarges. But because you're losing 2 knots in speed when you're attacking, he was not able to come into it.
Let's watch one of these boats when they tack. Let's just have a look here. What he got?
24 to 11 knots. in the
Yeah,
tank.
and then it takes a while to build back up again,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
So,
4,
that's a lot of
5,
distance.
6 seconds, 7
Yeah.
seconds, 8
Yeah.
seconds to come up in 24 knots again.
Yes, and you've gone all that way down. You've halved your speed pretty much. So, yep, and I think as people play this game more, they're going to learn how to be able to turn these boats and keep the speed up, just like the real guys. The guys learned how to go from foil to foil during the jibes and during the tacks. See, jibes when you turn going downwind, and the tacks when you turn going upwind, and they learned to foil from one side to the other. Now, I think as people, this is why these this is all practice at the moment. People are able to find out how to handle these boats, how to go from one tack to the other without losing so much speed. Now, it's possible, instead of sticking on the best VMG, if you turn away from the wind a little bit, so when you're going upwind, and increase your speed and then turn back and tack over, it's possible that you'll be able to keep your speed up. And that's the sort of thing I think Thomas, myself, and other people will be experimenting, because we've got no idea really how to get the best out of these boats until we practice.
It's a win for Sargent. Cyclone is coming in second. HT Baker from New Zealand getting third. Again, the German boat K16 coming in fourth. Actually, a non-sailor from Switzerland. We can't see the flag, but we know our players in eSailing. He's coming in fifth. It's getting better and better, these races, Steve, huh? It's getting more and more competition, and I just have to say, we are getting ready for more competition, because in 48 hours, it's actually in 46 hours, the competition eSailGP virtual starts. It's a competition where you minimum have to do 14 races, and the winner takes it all, and there will be a prize for the winner. I will tell you when I arrive in Marseille what the prize will be, but I can say to you, it's going to be a really exciting prize.
And now Marseille, you're heading to Marseille tonight after the stream, is that correct?
Here it's midday. As soon as we're done been streaming here, I will take my car, drive for 16 hours from the studio, put up a live studio in Marseille. So next stream you will see with us tomorrow are from Marseille.
Brilliant, Thomas. That's commitment. 16 hours, you say?
Yeah, it's a little drive.
You got some music to play along the way, right?
And a technician talking with me all the time.
Okay, good.
But Steve, we are going to take the last race of today. This is the last one we're going into. Let's see. We don't want to see those skippers again. Let's see. There's a new server joining here. There's a new Tintin server. Oh, there we have some new players with us from all around the world once again. So let's go in and see how they will do.
SailGP.
There we are. And Steve.
Okay, let's see. Who have we got in here that we can recognize? Well, Sai 1 can be a bit aggressive, but quite aggressive, so watch him for making some moves.
And Sargis from the last race also,
Yes.
yes. And then we have the Italian boat 142347. I have seen that boat a lot of time in eSailing TV.
Yeah. He's there's some good sailors in amongst here. Serenity, I like that name.
See how they're coming from behind here. This is exciting. There's a whole new start. We have the boat in the right side doing a slow start. Can he catch speed? No, he's not catching speed. So what Nick did in the right side was not the best thing. What the other did, Moonkishi and Sargis coming from behind, they actually came way from behind and capturing speed, came in and did it right.
Yeah, a good start there from this leading boat.
Sargis getting a penalty by our Portuguese friend. Can you see?
Sai 1, he's the one I said. He's an aggressive player. He's a good player, but he's an aggressive player. So I'd watch for him giving out a few penalties tonight. But Monkichi, what a great start! Japanese player, I think, is Monkichi. Yeah, certainly name's Japanese too. But what a wonderful start! Oh, but look at that speed coming in there from the British boat. Who was that British boat there that just took the lead there?
Mark Sim. Sai1 is in lead. He's actually Portuguese.
He's Portuguese, right? But he's got a British flag on his boat at the moment. Maybe he's trying to be incognito. So Yeah, as I said, with the other boats, he's a very good sailor, but
Moonkichi was pushed out of the boundary by Nick.
yeah.
So either taking a penalty by the boundary or taking a penalty for the other skips. And here we have another one. Whoopa! Nick
he
getting
really
one.
should have kept going, because he had more chance of making it through than doing that turn. But that's one of those things. In that moment, you're not sure, and then you go and make the wrong choice, and it's too late. But anyway, what's it? We've got Serenity. What a nice names.
Yeah.
It sometimes it doesn't feel like Serenity when you're playing. Now, see, this is a perfect example. See the ley line?
Yeah.
He's coming up to the ley line, but there's no point going to the ley line because if he tacks at the ley line, you can see the boundary.
We see Serenity doing it. Right? Let's see what Serenity does here.
What's he going to do? So what he has to do is veer in. Now, I've made the mistake of hitting tack at the point, thinking I have to tack, but it takes you over the. You need to go left.
Dare he experience it? Yeah.
Yeah, he's had the experience, and that's where you're going much further than you have to go. So by doing that, you do extra distance, and distance means you're losing your time. So, yeah, that's one of those cases where the boundary kicks right in to crosses over where your ley line is. So you have to keep an eye on the boundary, not just the ley lines. Anyway, here we got a tight match here.
Yeah, it's a really tight match. The whole fleet is together. See all these EF50. The athletes are really fighting for it. It's the Portuguese boat in front. It's Mike Sim in second. Oh, Sarge is losing momentum, trying to do these really hard turns. Then Moonkichi is back now in fourth, and we're getting a penalty to the Italian boat because Serenity managed to get back in the race.
Look how narrow the course is down at that part. Very narrow, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can see the boundaries left and right. The Saiwan's doing a very good job, and just being able to. He doesn't need to be aggressive now because he's in front, but he's only says 64 meters. Yeah. So if if it's just a little bit of a bad decision and the boat behind him, which is Maxim, could put him behind. So looking up here as they come up to the top mark, looking at the decisions to make, you've got to look which way's the wind strength, which way's the wind angle. So he's going to take this right-hand mark. That's Sai-1. The other boat's probably going to take the same mark here. He's going to follow around the right-hand side as well. And from there, we've just now
Moonkichi doing a wrong decision. See how it slowed down? He took straight away because he was afraid of sailing into Sarges. He took the boat and got the wind straight from behind. He was losing wind speed from 32 knots to 14 knots within seconds.
Yeah, now he's also heading towards that ley line. So he's going to, not the ley line, the boundary. Yeah. He would like to keep going, but he can't. Because the nature of this course, and it's based on the shape of the courses that are in real life. So these courses that these guys are sailing also mimic the courses that the guys in real life will be sailing. So maybe the guys that are actually playing in real life are also having a bit of a go on this game, Thomas. I wouldn't be surprised.
I won't either. I've heard they're actually playing the game and doing some fightings. Maybe we'll see them in live action in Marseille playing against each other here.
That would be fun, wouldn't it? Yeah, hey, come night time, put them behind the computer because sailing. Everyone loves sailing. When you sail, if you can't sail, well, let's get on the computer and sail.
What a perfect timing by Maxim. He's so lucky that this ley line, this boundaries is just fitting in, so he doesn't have to tack anymore. So actually, we can see Siron. He's under attack because we saw in the last race that you can lose 50 meters within 3 seconds. So
and he was a little slow around that mark too. He definitely was a bit slow, and so here we go. Let's keep an eye on these two because there could be a bit of a battle going to go on here. Sai-1's had to go out to the boundary, but Maxim has decided to attack earlier. He's gone out to the left-hand side, but we've got this is the final turn, the final marker here. He's coming down fast though on Maxim, but unlikely to be able to catch before the end because we turn around here. We've got the reach, which is the fastest part of the course. Speed on the boats is, the wind speed, I'm not sure what it is, but these boats will be up around 40 knots.
44 knots.
There we go, 44 knots. 40. The other night, yesterday we were working out that the top speed of these boats is around about 53 knots. And that equated to over 50 kilometers per hour, 50 miles per hour, and about 90 kilometers per hour.
It's amazing.
Which It's amazing. I mean, the speed limit on the Australian up here in Sydney, heading out on the motorway city, is 80 kilometres now. So if full speed, these boats are going faster than the cars on the motorway. Incredible.
So the last win of today is Saiwan from Portugal. We have Maxim from, I think it's Ukraine, in second. Sarges, he's also from Portugal, in third. Serenity from Austria in fourth. Moon Kichi from Japan in fifth. Konstantin from Switzerland, he disconnected. And the same thing Riakrak did. So
the guy down the bottom here, Aussie boat, Viagra, he didn't finish. Maybe he needs to change his name. So it didn't work. But, anyways.
Yeah, anyways, Steve, it's such a pleasure to have you in studio today. It has
fun.
Yeah. Let's look forward to what we're going to do, and just to wrap it up, everybody, let's go in here and watch this one. We have the training campaign right now, and in one day, 21 hours and 22 hours, actually a competition starts, the virtual competition, eSailGP Marseille virtual starts, so you can go in there and the winner takes it all. And I have to say, tomorrow in the stream, I will tell you what the prize is for the winner. There's something to play for, so this is where you need to go. Steve, it has been a pleasure to have you in studio direct from Sydney. I will, in a few minutes, pack up the studio, drive all the way to Marseille, so next time when eSailing TV is live, that is tomorrow at 1300 hours Central Europe time, we will be live in studio, live from Marseille. Steve, thank you for joining in.
I figured, no worries, mate. I worked out what the prize is. It's dinner with Thomas. It's got to be.
It's a burger to Thomas.
A burger from Thomas.
So,
sent via the mail.
Yeah. Steve, thank you
for
coming in, and we will talk later.
Thank you. See you soon.
The world's best sailors in the world's fastest boats. Welcome to SailGP.
Smoking in to the mark. It's game on. Both. Oh, it's very close to contact. That had to be so close. Here's an awesome race in towards the bottom gate. Have a go at the speed. 43 knots. This team is absolutely on fire.